Welcome to Abingdon and Autumn and the Abingdon Spirit Tour. My name is Donnamarie Emmert. I've been giving these tours now for 25 years. I've been beating feet up and down Main Street, Abingdon, telling ghost stories, and that's kind of what I'd like to do for you today. You want to hear some stories? Let's go down the street. One of my favorite stories is not actually about a ghost on the tour, but something that happened on one of my tours back in 2003. I had led a group down Plum Alley, and in that group there was this big guy. I mean, he was a big guy, and he lumbered up to me and he towered over me and he said, "Are there any ghosts on this tour?" And I thought, creepy guy, creepy guy. And I said, well, you know, that's up to you. I just simply tell the stories. He said, well, if there are, I can tell you about them. It's like, okay, I'm going to get as far in the front as I can from him. And he stayed at the back. And as I'm telling stories down Plum Alley, I'm looking, and honestly, here comes this guy. And he's got his hand up like this, like he's looking like an Indian scout. So as we're turning up the alley, suddenly he comes charging up from the back of the crowd and he said, "What's in this building?" And I said, "Nothing's in this building. I'm going to talk about the cave house." No, what's in this building?" I said, "There's nothing in this building. It's in this house." And then I looked at him. His hand was clutched right here. Now, a few years before, I had probably the coolest tour I'd ever given. It was to a group of parapsychologists, and I learned so much from them about ghosts. One thing I learned is that areas that are built on limestone have the highest concentration of spirits. Well, that's what Abingdon's built on. We weren't called Cave City for nothing. The other thing is when you sense a ghost in the movies, you always see people standing like this. Well, that's not where you feel it. It's here. It hits you right in the solar plexus. So when I looked at this big guy, he had his hand clutched right here. And I thought, maybe there is something in that building. And as it turned out, there was. Mom and Dad were having a date night. And as it turned out, they had hired a local teenager to come in and take care of their two small children. Well, everything was going quite nicely. Mom and Dad were gone. The three boys were sitting on the couch in the living room, sharing a bowl of popcorn, watching a movie, when the teenager realized that the house was shaking. And he thought at first it was just a big truck off Main Street, and then it didn't stop. He looked above his head, and there hung a small chandelier that was starting to vibrate. And slowly it began to spin around and around, faster and faster, until the crystals were standing out from it. And when it reached peak velocity, it began to slow down. And all the crystals just came right back to place. That night, when Mom and Dad got back, they found a teenager in the door going, "Ah!" And they said, "Oh, the chandelier, don't worry about it. It happens all the time." Welcome to the Tavern. It's best known as being the oldest building standing in its original place in Abingdon. It's also best known for all of its ghosts. I could stand here for an hour and tell you nothing but ghost stories about the Tavern. There are that many. However, I'm not going to do that because there's other buildings up and down Main Street. However, one story I have to tell you. It is said that many years ago, there was a young barmaid who worked here who was murdered upstairs in that room. Her throat slit. The last word that she was able to mouth was the name of the man who had killed her. Well, he was never found. He may have disappeared from the face of this earth, but she has not. She is still in this building. What her name is, I don't know. I call her the Tavern Tart. However, it has been told to me by several psychic people that My ghost does not appreciate me calling her a tart at all. So my deal is this. When I'm outside, I get to call her whatever I want to. But when I'm inside, I zip it. Because this is my turf, that's hers. She's also very vindictive. Welcome to the Washington County Courthouse. This is one of the pillars of Abingdon, and it's also one of the more haunted ones too. We got a lot of ghosts in the courthouse. Probably my favorite is Miss Lucille. It is said that she was a clerk here that was so invested in her job that when she took her lunch break, she actually ate in a closet so no one would see her not working. Miss Lucille is still in this building, and Lucille does not like change. When this place first got wired with all the technology and the cameras and everything in the courtrooms, everything went quite well. All the technology came in, except there was one courtroom right upstairs. They couldn't get the camera set. The bailiffs would go downstairs, they'd look, the camera would be pointing in this direction. They'd go back upstairs, they'd point the camera where it needed to be, they'd go back downstairs, camera would be in the other direction. One of the clerks had an idea of who was behind this mischief. So she went upstairs, closed the doors to that courtroom, made sure no one was listening or watching, and said, "Lucille, damn it, stop moving the cameras." The cameras never moved again. What can you say? Miss Lucille is still on the job. So folks, welcome to Abingdon on this virtual tour. I hope you're able to come out for a real Abingdon spirit tour in 2021. Have a lovely autumn, and thanks for watching. Bye. Happy Halloween.